Hi everyone, I'm Stan Mallow, the Paranormal Yacker. I welcome you to join me in watching part two of my interview with Reverend Michael J.S. Carter, who'll be talking about his book, A New World If You Can Take It, God, Extraterrestrials, and the Evolution of Human Consciousness. When you opened up about your belief in extraterrestrials to other people of the cloth, how did they react?
Oh, no, they were not. I had one friend of mine, a Unitarian Universalist minister. She said, Michael, I believe you believe what you say, but if you want to have a career in this denomination, you must never tell that story again. But how wrong she is. But at the time, she was looking out for me. I did have a woman a few years back, try to have me fired from the pulpit that I'm in now. I serve a congregation here, in a mid-sized congregation here in North Carolina, and she was flipping through the channels. She said she saw Ancient Aliens was the show, and she said, I saw my minister there talking about little green men. I'm not comfortable with that. He needs to stop this, or he needs to be let go. Luckily, the board of trustees of my congregation said, no, he's not forcing it down our throats. He doesn't preach it from the pulpit. And who knows, he may even be right. So we're not going to do that. So I was very fortunate. Union, my first book, Alien Scriptures, began as my master's thesis, and they let me do it. They could have said, young man, you are not graduating from here with that kind of tripe, but not only did they encourage it, afterwards, I had two professors in systematic theology ask me would I want to stay on for a PhD, which I did not want to do. I'm really not set for the academic life. But, those were encouraging events in my life that kind of said, you're on the right path. Just keep going.
In A New World, if you can take it, you encourage your readers to ask themselves a number of thought-provoking questions, research the answers, and embrace what resonated in their heart. I'll now repeat some of those questions and ask how readers of your book who give you feedback, who you spoke with, answered them. When they asked themselves if they felt that if the world's diverse population recognized their shared singular tradition of extraterrestrial involvement in human affairs, it would foster peace and prosperity for all humanity. How did they respond?
Well, they thought that I was naive, some of them. And even when hearing that back, it does sound a little naive to me now, but it gives us something to work for. But again, it's that oneness. Even the Vatican has been open about the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Now, they frame it in more theological terms. Would you baptize an extraterrestrial or what have you? But please, I don't know if they even need that. I won't go there, but the need when they say these are our brothers and sisters, that whatever God you believe in or not God at all, you put he, she, it in a box. If you just say, well, that's not possible. It's not possible to have life outside of us. We are the pinnacle. And so again, once we even entertain the possibility that we live in a populated cosmos, that we are not alone, that we have been visited, you start to say, well, wait a minute now. I've got to open up a bit here. And I think that begins the dialogue, which begins a shared understanding, debate. I think it's healthy, and I think we're going to see more of it in the future.
When they ask themselves, can the messages from present-day star visitors to contactees hold the key to unlocking their spiritual potential? Was there a consensus on how they answered that question?
I think, well, at that time, no, there wasn't a consensus, and there still is that us versus them camp. A lot of very evangelical brothers and sisters look at these beings as demons, that they don't mean us any good. There's some people in higher halls of government who hold that belief, but there's also, I think that's what we're seeing now with people like Brother David Grush and Elizondo, that there's this camp that says we want to keep the status quo. We don't want, this is the way we want it. We can control it. And then there's a camp of no, let's see where this is going to take us. Let's see what our future is going to be like. And so you have this push and pull. You get a few things towards disclosure, and then all of a sudden you get pulled back. And it's frustrating, but we are getting disclosure. I don't know if whoever the emperor or president is, in the future, I don't know if they're going to come out on the White House lawn and say, guess what, folks, we've been lying to you for 75 plus years. And unfortunately, some people even lost their lives being at the wrong place in the wrong time. They're not going to say that. But what they are doing is you're hearing people talk about this, heads of state, and no one's checking them. The late Paul Hellyer, up in Canada, when they didn't medicate him or hospitalize him when he said what he said. Grush, back in 2020, just before Christmas, Brigadier General Haim, 28 years, he was the chief of space security for Israel. He said, we are in contact with star civilizations. He said there is a galactic federation of spacefaring civilizations, and they've been in contact with Earth civilizations for eons. They've chosen not to self-disclose until the human race has a better understanding of the nature of space. I thought that was an interesting phrase, but no one locked him up. No one disbarred him or anything like that, and it was just on and on and on. I forget the guy's name. Let me look. I have some notes. Dmitry Medvedev. Yeah, Dmitry Medvedev in 2008, the former deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, on a hot mic, on a live mic. He said that each prime minister of Russia is given a dossier detailing the spacefaring civilizations in which we are already in contact with. Again, no debunking. President Putin didn't distance himself from the prime minister. It was just left out there for people to notice. I can go on and on and on. This is disclosure. This is disclosure. It's just not as dramatic or sexy as the way we think it is. Of course, Brother Elizondo, of course, Gary McKinnon in Britain, who had hacked into NASA and got away with it. It's happening. But if you're not looking for it, if you're looking for it in a certain way, the train has left the station.
And I'm glad you mentioned about Paul Hellyer previously. I had the privilege of also interviewing him in the past, and he's an incredible person. And to come out there and say, yeah, we have visitors out there.
Yes. And nothing happened to him. He wasn't silenced or anything. It's spoon drip. But of course it is, because they're factions. If the Brigadier General is correct, that there are even extraterrestrial factions that don't want disclosure. So we don't know how many treaties or agreements are being made, and to just come out and disclose, who knows? Maybe we would be breaching something. It's more layered than we think it is. But these stories are there. You can look them up. These people have said what they've said, and even more.
The world today, as everyone knows, is in a mess. If ever there was a need for a new world, it would be now. From those you have spoken with, Michael, how close are we to at least begin to start building that new world? And what role will extraterrestrials play in the building of it?
Beautiful. I think it depends on who you ask. Now, again, there are people who want the status quo. I mean, they don't want to hear anything about free energy, because these beings probably know how to harness this energy, because that would take a lot of money out of people's pockets. There's a lot of money being made by powerful people if things stay the same. We don't want to hear anything about cancer research or these things being cured, these diseases and what have you, because there's still so much money coming in. I know that sounds callous, but this is the world we live in. What I find intriguing, Stan, is this. Yes, we live in dangerous times. We could be hit by an asteroid. Look what's going on and with the ecosystem, wars and rumors of wars. However, if you look at the Christian religion, if you look at Judaism, if you look at even the Buddhists, which is a philosophy, not a religion, they're waiting for Maitreya. I think the Hindus, the person's name is Khalil or Kahil. The Nordic people have their stories, these narratives. There's always a situation towards end times. And I think every end is a new beginning. I'm not, but they're all waiting for this being or beings to come out of the sky to help us either rebuild after a cataclysm or to keep us from having a cataclysm. And I'm thinking, why are all these stories talking about this? These are all prophecies. The Hopi talk about, we're now in the fourth world going into the fifth world. And they talk about the star people. So it's interesting. I think we're close. I think that we may see this in our lifetime. Of course, it's an election year. People play it close to the vest. There may be a lot of the same thing going on until after the election. But I think that we're going to see more and more disclosure and that we're going to be told by our governments unequivocally that we are not alone. I think it's just preparing us. But this slow drip, 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 if anything ever happens, you always got to be able to cover your butt. And the United States can always say, we've been trying to tell you this. We've been trying to tell you. There's always that. And so these are exciting times, but they're also concerning times as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And to what you were saying about people getting together and everything, I just want to say, use some of your wording. Amen to that. Should viewers of Paranormal Yacker want to buy A New World, If You Can Take It, God, Extraterrestrials, and the Evolution of Human Consciousness, how can they do that?
Listen, they can purchase all of my books on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles. You just type in Reverend Michael J. Carter or J.S. Carter. All the books will come up. I have a new book coming out. It's a book of sermons that should be out around Christmas time. It's called Enlightenment. And for those of you who are really, really churchy, just know that I'm in the Unitarian Universalist denomination. So I can preach a sermon over something, and we may not even use the word something I read in the Times, or definitely I could use a Bible verse or something like that. But it's a conglomeration of some really good talks I gave on philosophy, social justice, spirituality, race. And again, that should be out around Christmas time, and it's called Enlightenment.
Great. And I hope that I'm on your list to be contacted because I would love to interview.
Of course, I will do that, Stan. You know that. It's always a pleasure.
Reverend Michael J.S. Carter, I thank you for being my guest on Paranormal Yacker. As always, yakking with you has been a great experience.
Stan, you stay well. You and your family, I wish you a gentle peace and many blessings. And I'll shoot you an email as soon as I know this is coming out.
Thank you. And I wish wellness to you and yours. God bless.
Thank you, brother. God bless.
I hope you enjoyed the interview you just watched. So that you don't miss any upcoming shows, be sure to subscribe to my free YouTube channel. To do that, just press the subscribe button on your screen.